got to let you go soon, but I have to ask, it was Sun Valley last week. You have Sam Altman of OpenAI there, as well as so many other executives whose team members you have been hiring. Did you get a chance to say hi, and what did you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the fun of Sun Valley is you run into all your friends and colleagues. So yeah, I mean, I saw Sam, said hi. I also saw Dario and saw Sundar and Satya and everyone who's kind of in the space working on this stuff. And look, I mean, what would I say? I mean, look, we're building up this new team from scratch, and there's like 5 or 6 places in the world that have a lot of great researchers. Meta, of course, is one of them, and part of what we're doing is pulling over a lot of the key folks into to the new efforts as well. But we're also doing a big recruiting push. So I don't know. We're not trying to target anyone individually. I just I want to make sure that I personally get to know all of the top researchers in the industry. So that way, whether it's now or in the future, if there's a good opportunity to work together, then we can make that happen.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into the really fast-moving world of artificial intelligence. And we're going to look at it through the lens of a really insightful conversation Mark Zuckerberg had recently, all about Meta's AI strategy. Very ambitious stuff. Yeah, our main source here is an interview Zuck gave to Jessica Lessin. She's the CEO and editor-in-chief of The Information. And after that interview, there was this fascinating debrief session with Lessin and Ecos Masricha, which adds another layer. So our mission today, let's try and unpack Meta's pretty unique vision for AI. We'll look at the huge investments they're making, like staggering amounts, and figure out what this whole idea of personal superintelligence might actually mean for you and, the future of tech generally. Let's get into it. Okay, so right at the start, Zuckerberg makes this really bold claim in the interview. He says something like, early glimpses of self-improvement with the models mean that developing superintelligence is now in sight. I mean, wow, that's a powerful statement. But what makes Meta's specific angle on this potential superintelligence? What makes it unique compared to, say, other big players?
Well, that's the really interesting part. Meta has this very explicit mission. They want to deliver personal superintelligence to everyone in the world. And that does feel quite different, doesn't it? It kind of contrasts with what you think the focus is for labs like Google or OpenAI, Anthropic, maybe. You often hear about them aiming to, automate all of the economically productive work in society or build some kind of central superintelligence for the really grand problems. Zuckerberg, he used this analogy. I thought it was quite good. He compared AI's different uses to the early internet. People argued back then, is it for productivity, entertainment, work? And his point was, well, it's all of those things, obviously. But Meta, they're really zeroing in on what are the things that people care about in their own lives? Yeah. So yeah, less about just abstract economic stuff. It's more about relationships and culture and creativity and having fun and enjoying life. That seems to be their core focus. And, this isn't just some philosophical difference. It suggests a really different way AI might actually weave into our lives day to day. If they pull it off, it could mean AI is less like some huge central brain-solving world hunger, and more like a really intimate, personal co-pilot for your life.
That's a really critical distinction, isn't it? Personal superintelligence.
Yeah.
And this idea of putting that power into people's hands directly, it just sounds fundamentally different. So what does that actually mean? How might AI show up in our lives then? Are we talking about AI becoming almost like an extension of us? Changing how we interact daily in ways other AIs might not?
Exactly, yeah. I think that's the implication. If they succeed, the products will likely look very different. Different from, say, an AI designed to optimize city logistics or something. We're talking about AI woven right into the fabric of your individual experience, helping with personal stuff, creativity, fun. It's really about using AI for your life. And that could potentially touch billions of people directly, but in a super personalized way.
Okay, let's talk about the money then, because that ties into this. The reports are saying Meta's investing hundreds of billions of dollars just on compute power, building multiple gigawatts of clusters. I mean, that's an almost unbelievable amount of money and power in a really short time.
Yeah.
How do you even picture that scale?
It is. It's absolutely astronomical. Let me give you some specifics from the interview. Meta's first 2 big clusters, they call them Titan clusters, Prometheus and Hyperion. Each one is greater than a gigawatt of power. And Hyperion, the plan is to scale that up to maybe 5 gigawatts over the coming years.
5 gigawatts?
Yeah. And to give you a sense of the physical size, one site just one, apparently covers a significant portion of the footprint of Manhattan in terms of space.
Wow. Manhattan footprint.
Yeah, imagine that much land and power just for AI compute. And the funding part is interesting too. How are they paying for all this? Zuckerberg basically said, look, we have a very strong business model that throws off a lot of capital, and they can do this all funded from the cash flow of the company.
Right. No need to go cap in hand to investors.
Exactly. And Jessica Lesson, in the debrief, she pointed out that this felt like a slight jab, a jab at competitors who might have to still raise the capital to even try and keep up at this kind of level.
That's an interesting angle on the funding. So he clearly sees this massive capital spending the CapEx as a competitive advantage. He said he's always looking for ways that I can convert capital into a higher quality service for people. But, I mean, are there big risks in betting the farm like this? Or is it really that big a disadvantage for others if they do need to raise funds?
Oh, it's definitely a bold play, a huge risk for sure, especially with AI moving so incredibly fast. Things could change. But for Zuckerberg, it seems it's not just about spending the money. It's also about speed, efficiency. They're even innovating in how they build the actual data centers. So instead of the usual concrete buildings, which apparently take like 4 years to get up and running, Meta's pioneering this different method, building these huge weatherproof tents.
Tents, like actual tents.
Well, high-tech ones, apparently hurricane-proof, he said.
Okay.
And they install all the networks, the GPU clusters, right inside these tents. The point being they can build them faster, much faster, like building a massive tech factory in months, not years.
Right. Faster build times. Okay, so you've got this huge infrastructure investment. Makes sense, then, that there's also this blitz of AI hiring. We've all seen the reports, huge pay packages, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars for top researchers. But beyond just the, eye-watering sums, what's really pulling the absolute elite talent to Meta in such a hot market? Is it just money?
Well, Zuckerberg addressed those reports directly, said, a lot of the specifics that have been reported aren't accurate, but he absolutely acknowledged it's a very hot market, no question. And he made the point that there's really only a small number of researchers who are just the best. And yeah, everyone wants them. But he also stressed what he called the underreported reasons, the other key reasons that top people are excited to join Meta. Beyond just the paycheck, a huge one apparently. And this makes a lot of sense for researchers, is having more leverage as a researcher simply because Meta has more compute.
Right, the tools to actually do the work.
Exactly, he put it very bluntly. The best researchers, they want the fewest number of people reporting to me and the most GPUs.
Makes sense. Less management, more power.
Pretty much. Direct access to just immense computational resources. And the other thing he mentioned was the appeal of a clean slate. Building new infrastructure basically from scratch. For top talent, that's often more exciting than trying to work around older existing systems.
And he's personally involved in trying to hire these people, right?
Yeah.
Saying he wants to personally get to know all of the top researchers in the industry.
Right.
What does that tell us? That level of personal involvement from the CEO, how much does that actually matter when everyone's throwing money around?
I think it signals it's an absolute top priority, like the priority. When the CEO of a company that size is personally reaching out, talking to individual researchers, that sends a really powerful message. It shows these people their work isn't just, valued. It's seen as absolutely central to the company's entire future direction. And yeah, in a market this competitive where talent is so scarce, that kind of direct personal appeal from the very top, that can definitely be a difference maker.
Okay, so here's where it gets maybe even more interesting for the future. Zuckerberg seems convinced that the best form factor for AI is Meta's glasses. He says they're doing exceptionally well already, and he sees them as the next generation of computing platforms. That's a huge bet on glasses. How does he actually picture these AI glasses working? What does it mean to have a device that can see what you see and hear what you hear?
Yeah, that phrase is key, isn't it? See what you see and hear what you hear. He described them as devices you can basically talk to them throughout the day, constant interaction. And the future vision, he said, is once they add a display in the holograms, these glasses will be able to actually generate a UI for you.
Generate a UI, like in your vision.
That seems to be the idea. Moving beyond just voice commands, it's an AI that truly perceives your environment, your context, and can offer help or even project visual interfaces right into your field of view.
So an AI that's constantly sort of observing and interacting with your reality.
Yeah.
That sounds intense. Did he give any examples? Like, what could you do with that kind of really intimate integration?
Yeah, he offered this specific thought experiment, which I found pretty compelling. Imagine he said, you have 5 things I want to follow up on after a meeting or a conversation. We all have those lists, right?
Huh.
But you rarely actually do all 5.
Guilty as charged. Yeah.
Right. So these glasses, if you allow them, could basically observe what's going on in your life and be able to go follow up on things for you. Follow up how? Either later, maybe queuing them up, or potentially even in real time. So like if you say out loud, oh, I need to remember to call Sarah about that project, the glasses wouldn't just remind you. Maybe they could, I don't know, draft a quick email, or perhaps even offer to initiate the call at a good time.
Okay, that's pretty futuristic stuff. And he takes it even further with this analogy he used. He compared it to needing eyeglasses. If you need vision correction, you're at a disadvantage without your glasses, obviously. He then suggests that in the future, if you don't have AI glasses, you're basically going to be at a cognitive disadvantage too.
Wow, that really paints a picture, doesn't it? A future where AI is deeply integrated. What does that mean practically? Will these things become essential, like reading glasses? He certainly seems to think so. Indispensable, maybe? It's all about augmenting our cognition. Think about it. If your AI glasses can remember every conversation detail, prompt you on tasks, maybe give you real-time info about what you're looking at, you'd effectively have this kind of super-powered memory and assistant built in. And yeah, compared to someone without that, you probably would be at a cognitive disadvantage in how you process information and act on it. And this isn't just about external users either. He talked about the internal impact at Meta right now. He expects engineers to become way, way, way more productive because of AI tools. And he mentions seeing self-improvement loops already. For instance, Llama 4 improving the Facebook algorithm and other AI systems across the company autonomously.
So the AI is already improving itself and Meta systems.
Apparently so, which suggests this whole cycle is already accelerating inside the company.
Okay. Let's switch to the debrief session with Jessica Lessin. She had some really sharp takeaways after talking to him. She identified what she called 2 new doctrines coming from Zuckerberg. First, Meta's whole vision for personal superintelligence that we've been talking about. And second, his specific approach to CapEx spending, this infrastructure race. What was her overall take on these doctrines, especially thinking about Meta's other big bets in the past?
Right, looking at the bigger picture, Lesson definitely compared this huge AI investment to past bets, like obviously Reality Labs and the metaverse. And she noted that, yeah, on the dollar amount, AI is trumping everything. It's just bigger.
Bigger than the metaverse spending.
Seems so in terms of current focus and scale of investment. But she also picked up on a sense of maybe prudence to the wild and crazy investing this time around. It's not just, throwing money blindly. Zuckerberg apparently conveyed a willingness to adjust course if the tech landscape shifts significantly, which is maybe a key insight, right? Massive commitment, but maybe not completely inflexible if things change.
Interesting. Lesson also made a comment about Zuckerberg's actual demeanor during the interview. Even noticed his shirt choice, she said, and suggested it conveyed a real seriousness, that he was really dialed in for this particular moment. What do you make of that? That kind of observation, what does it signal about how he sees this point in time?
I think it speaks volumes, actually. When a CEO like Zuckerberg, who has a reputation for being pretty casual, when he presents himself with such obvious intent and seriousness down to the details, it really signals that he believes this is a defining moment, a critical juncture. It underlines just how strategically vital he thinks AI is, not just for Meta's business, but maybe for his whole legacy. He's not just talking the talk, he's visually showing his deep personal commitment to leading this whole thing. And that brings us right back to the big unanswered question Lesson raised at the end. Okay, great vision, huge investment, but what's the business model around this personal superintelligence?
Right, the monetization question.
Exactly, especially for an AI that, handles those 5 follow-up items for you. How do you make money from that? She basically asked, what's going to be the next cash cow engine for Meta in this very consumer-focused AI world? And that is the absolute critical question for them, isn't it? How do you monetize something so personal, so integrated, without, creeping people out or breaking trust?
So, yeah, as we wrap up this deep dive, that leaves a lot for you, the listener, to think about. What are the real implications for your future if Meta actually delivers on this? An AI that watches your life, acts proactively for you, knows what you need, maybe finishes tasks you wouldn't. How does that change how we think about productivity or personal health or even just our own, cognitive limits? What kind of new dependencies might we develop? And how do we even define our own agency, our own choices in a world where this intelligent sidekick is always there, maybe anticipating our next move? Lots to consider.